Hey everyone, hope everybody's doing well. We're going to do a little bit more with notes today, so if you want to pause and grab yourself a sheet of paper so that you can write some of this down. So again, we're still looking at characteristics of quadratic functions. And again, standard form of the equation is f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c. First thing we looked at was concavity, looking at a, whether it opens up or down. Second thing was the vertex, the highest or lowest point. That's where we use the negative b over 2a and then plug in. I'll be sending comments on Wednesday's work. Hopefully, if you haven't already received those comments, you will. If there's anything you still need to look at. Then the y-intercept was 0c. And so what we're going to look at today are x-intercepts. And so this is where your graph or your parabola crosses or touches the x-axis. And so we only have one y-intercept when we look at a parabola, but we can have different amounts of x-intercepts. So our possibilities are here, where we have two x-intercepts. Here where it just touches and we only have one x-intercept. Or where it never touches at all and we have no x-intercepts. Now, one thing before we go on and how to find these, I want to show you is that another word for x-intercepts that we'll see sometimes are the roots or the zeros of the graph. And so those mean the exact same thing as if I say find the x-intercept, if I say find the root or find the zero. But for now, I'm going to be using the term x-intercept. So here's the thing. We actually already know how to find it. We just didn't know we knew how to find it. Okay, so to find the x-intercepts, you plug 0 in for y and solve using the quadratic formula. So this is why I had you practice this on Wednesday, because that's how we're going to find our x-intercepts. So just for review, quadratic formula, negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, so let's go through some examples on how to find our x-intercepts. All right, so this is our function. First thing we always do is identify a, b, and c. So a here is 1, b is 8, and c is 12. Then we substitute in, so negative b, so that would be negative 8, plus or minus the square root of b squared. Now, some of you yesterday will see comments that I made that you got the wrong answer because you didn't put your b in parentheses, and that does affect the answer. So minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. So now we're going to look at Desmos calculator on how to type that in. And so if you want a fraction, so I'm going to type in negative 8, and then I'm going to hit divide. And then I'm going to go back up, and then it's going to allow me to type in the numerator. So I'm going to put my plus sign in first. And then I need my square root. Okay. Oh. And the square root to be there on the numerator. Then I'm going to put my parentheses. And everything I plug in, I'm putting in parentheses. And I go down to the denominator. And it gives me my answer is -6. So normally we write it like this, but these are points. And so we were supposed to, and I didn't write it on there because it doesn't really affect it, but 0 is what your y value is. Excuse me. So 0 is the y. So when you write this as a point, you're going to write it as -60. Then I'm going to go back to Desmos and get my other number. And here's the thing. I can just go right back up there and click and delete that and change it to a minus. And then it tells me the answer here is -2. So x equals -2. So that means my other x-intercept is -2, 0. So we identify A, B, and C, plug in quadratic formula, get your two answers, and then write those answers with 0 as the y value. So let's do another example. So here A is -2, B is -3, and C is 1. Always watch those signs. Substitute in the quadratic formula. So -b, if b is already negative, it becomes positive. Plus or minus b squared. Now here's where it would really matter, and you would get a wrong answer, and some of you did, and I made you a comment. This has to be in parentheses. -4 times a times c all over 2 times a. Alright, so then I'm going to go back to Desmos and type this in. Do my plus first and then square root, and then I'm going to use my parentheses. Squared. -4 times a times c all over 2 times a. Alright, so here we get a decimal, and that's okay. You will get decimals. I'm just going to write it as like -1.78. So as a point, that's -1.780. Then I'll go back and do my minus. And I get 0.28. So that would be 0.280. So just for review, when you want to find your x-intercepts, identify your a, b, and c, plug into quadratic formula. The two answers you get are your two separate x-intercepts. So you write that number with 0, that number with 0. So same thing here. So I have a place where you can post some comments and questions about the notes. So if there's something here you don't understand before you start, please do that. And if you want to respond to each other, you can. And then I'm going to have you practice just a couple of these, and then we'll see how we do. Hope everybody's doing well, and I miss you all so much and really wish we were here together. Bye.